From the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London, this is the Jaguars and the Bills in NFL action, early action. Again, another London game is the Jaguars. Now, maybe you guys saw. I saw some. They were like, "Oh, this is great for the Jaguar. They get to stay in the same hotel." I thought what I read was, and I thought I was reading Jaguar is that they actually changed hotels uh, this week. And it shouldn't be Jaguars at Bills, obviously. It's Jaguars versus Bills, and if anything, like we said. But to me, the Jaguars. Look, uh, I feel like that other stadium is kind of like the Jaguars' home, even though we say, oh, the Jaguars are kind of like the London's team because of Shad Khan and everything. Oops. I was teasing you guys about your graphics, and I've got one of my graphics are terrible. Okay. So here we are with the Bills favored here now against the Jaguars. Okay, so that's and that's been the talk this week about heading into the game. Is the fact the Jaguars, of course, they when you're in those London stadiums, there's a billion jerseys, right? Everybody's wearing a different team. But the Jaguars, there's got to be more Jaguars jerseys than anybody else. I think if you're a sports fan, we know that England is, pretty rabid sports fans. If that team's coming there enough, your owner's, from London, you're gonna root for them. So anyway, here come the mighty Bills into town. They're favored by 5.5 points into town, into the metropolis of a city, and they're favored, right? And the Jaguars, 2-2. Have they been disappointing? Yeah, they've been disappointing. They're still 2-2. They're the Jaguars. Yeah, they're supposed to be a playoff team. I mean, remember, they were the ones that given Kansas City a hard time. They haven't looked quite as good as they may have last year. So, I don't know. In their 2 wins, they looked fine. In their losses, they looked downright bad. But I guess that's sports, if anything. The Bills, just we were about to bury Josh Allen. They've outscored their last three opponents 103-16. They're 50% on third down conversions. They continue to cover spreads left and right when they're favored. Don't forget. I mean, they've long since passed up bargain time, right? We expect the Bills to have to lay points now, and they're still covering games. They're getting off to fast starts. They're outscoring opponents 81-27 in the first half, and they've been dominating in the second half of late as well. Last three games, they've outscored the opposition 55-9. The Bills look like the Bills all of a sudden. Let's hope fun like they got up to that the loss. Let's just call it for what it is. And you're like, Josh Allen is making all these mistakes, turnover city, and the games are long. The season's long, right? You're relying on your talent, so you're Josh Allen. You're just out there chucking it. And if you're that as good as he is, and they say, hey, dial it back a little bit, you probably can. He obviously did. Hey, let me not take as many chances. Let me rely on some of the talent. I don't need to do it all. It's a great lesson for a quarterback. And now look what the Bills are doing all of a sudden, right? I mean, they are to be reckoned with. I mean, they are again with the Chiefs. They're, we already know we saw. Don't think that as confident a boost that was to beat the Dolphins. There was no problem with what the Dolphins did. Those are going to be great games. The Dolphins can compete. It's just, if it comes down to some situation where, in December where you got a Dolphin team going up to Buffalo, well, that does make it difficult. But just because the Bills kind of got the upper hand, I think the Dolphins are still pretty good, and they were coming off the massive points. So but the Bills earned what they earned, and they're, right now they're back, right? Do we agree? Do we agree the Bills are kind of back? glad you guys are sticking around today to give me some of these, at least on this play. Are they going to doubles? They're not going to do Toy Story again, are they? But I did actually watch some of it, believe it or not, and I didn't mind it. Actually, the first time I watched it for probably 5, and I turned it off. I said, I can't do it. I can't do it right now. And then as the game kind of became more decided, if you will, the tone of the game, then I said, oh, okay, I'm going to go back. And I actually watched like the last, probably almost the whole second half on the Toy Story game. I don't know. I don't know why I did that, actually. I thought the commentary was actually pretty good. I know there was some controversy with that, right? What did they say? Was it Booger that said something a little bit off color as far as, yeah, you know what I mean, you guys. But it was like a little bit of a risque comment. What was it? I remember there was some talk about it. It was something that you might hear jokingly, though, on a regular, maybe even cross the line a little bit. But Darren says, give me the Bills and over. Ray says, lean the Jaguars and over in this one. And let's see here. Nathan. A lot of people getting on the Jaguars. But they are distracted. Are they distracted by being the team of being the favorite team of England? Buffalo, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to get with you, Nathan, on that. I know I'm never going to call you out. I want to know what's going on. I'm trying to wonder what the distraction would be. I mean, like I said, Jacksonville, they've been there for a week. There's the built-in the storyline here, right? I mean, and I think you guys all know it too, but you have Super Bills coming in against the home team, the home team, and they've been there for a week. If anything, so now Jacksonville. Let's see. Right now, 7-6 last 13 as an underdog. That doesn't really give us anything. 9-13 against the spread. Last 22 off of a victory. I think you just got to kind of paint this one in the theme of, playoff caliber team, 6 points on a neutral. But Buffalo is just so hot right now. The look-ahead line in this game was like 3.5, and now you're dealing with almost a touchdown. There's not much value on the value, quote unquote, is on the Jaguars. That doesn't mean most people say, oh, I think the value, so I'm taking them because I think that's the value. To me, I'm leaning. I'm going to give the play here in just a moment. But to me, even if I were to take the Bills, to me, the value is on the Jaguars. It doesn't mean I'm going to be on them necessarily. Let me know what you think about that. And here's Solo says Jaguars plus 5.5. I know what you mean. Probably just set it in there. Thomas, okay. And Thomas on Buffalo here. And Nathan, let the Sharps take the value. All right. All right, Jaguars, they do force turnovers, I think, for Allen. I think, we may see some regression a little bit from Allen. I mean, this has been a pretty good run for him, and I'm going to say that he's going to be, now that we're starting to gain more sample size with Allen. Look, at this point, he's still a quarterback trying to win a Super Bowl, of course. But I think what we're going to get from Allen moving forward in his career are ups and downs, inconsistency, no doubt about it. I think there is something to the Jaguars' rest here. Not rest, but the comfortability of them being at home is what I feel like. But I still want to lay the. I just think the Bills are just enough to get this here, especially at 5.5. That's the line that I'm faced with here, and I'm gonna go with the Bills here to cover this number. They've gone over in 6 of the last 8 meetings. We did it last week. We talked about the unders in the games across the pond a little bit. Now, the line's significant, 48.5 for these London games. I mean, that is much bigger than what we're used to. Now, we had the under last week and the in that game. Remember, we pointed out that at Wembley Stadium, all 6 games had gone under the total previously. Now it's 7-0 to the under at Wembley Stadium. Now this is at Tottenham Hotspur. You saw the the field at Wembley Stadium. It's like pretty. It looked like the rug from Toy Story, right? It looked kind of fake, or it's a pitch, right? It's not a pitch. It's not a field. It's a pitch. So I thought it was a slow track last week for sure. Now this game will be a different venue, and at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, this stadium is brand new. Well, I say brand new; it's like 3 or 4 years old. But the Wembley games have been low scoring. The games they've actually played here have gone over. They've played here now 6 times, and the games have gone over 5-1. Now I don't know about this matchup necessarily. I know what we're dealing with. We got Lawrence. We've got Allen. I get that. So thank you, Darren. Yep, let's go over this. But so 5-1. The games have been at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The average final of the games at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in those 6 NFL games have been 50 points. So it's complete opposite. Now, this total look, I want to tell you those stats, and I want to say, look, this one has more, but I think it's already reflected in the line at 48.5. So I kind of want to try to give these teams a little bit of respect on defense. So, and I think that's why that total is so high. And I think you can expect it to get close, but maybe it's built in a little bit too much. And with me being an under player. Here comes Nathan with the comment. Maybe I can get behind this. I lean under 48.5 because I think time of possession the Jags could force a few turnovers. Well, turnovers to me, Nathan, are going to be random. So, of course, they could force a few, no doubt about it. But I think what you said before there, the time of possession game, and I think both teams, always. I mean, it goes without saying. I think, but what we're seeing from the Bills now, look, if they get into some situation where this is a close game and then Josh Allen starts to lose his mind, there you go. Maybe that's how the Jaguars could force a few turnovers. But I think with Allen at this point, he feels confident enough in the way the Bills are playing, right? He's cut the mistakes, and now the Bills are kicking butt, right? There's no doubt. Everybody said, look at this guy. He's out of control. He's turning the ball over. He's trying to do too much. He's running from the pocket. He's dropping the ball. He's getting picked off. He put that in his mind. Just go out there and don't make any mistakes. Avoid the criticism. And, of course, it works because that's how football works. Play within the system. Especially when you got a team like the Bills. It's not just Josh Allen, right? The Bills have been building. The Bills have been building. Right? They're still trying to get there. They have a Super Bowl contender. That's not because of one man. They have great talent. Look at the great talented receivers they have, right? We know Diggs is great, but Gabe Davis, right? Is he still one of the most underrated receivers in the league? Every time, right? When the big catch, Diggs is there. But when the big catch needs to be made, it's Gabe Davis. So they have all that talent on all over the field. So just play within yourself, and then and that leads to controlling the ball, owning the game a little bit. All right. Great comments. Thanks for sticking around, you guys, today. Sometimes I get a little lonely, Thomas and I, on these football previews. No one hangs out with us for a while, so let's try to do a few more if you guys are have some time here, and give me some additional information. Give me some additional help here on these NFL games. But I'm going to take the Bills as my free play on the show. Texans and the Falcons here in this one. The Falcons, a 1.5 point favorite. They definitely opened a bigger favorite here, but we're starting to have some question marks a little bit with Ritter. And why wouldn't we? I mean, right? Nobody was saying that Desmond Ritter is going to come into the league. We just said that for what was expected for Ritter, maybe we're getting something a little more. But he's giving a little bit back right now. As far as C.J. Stroud is concerned, we could spend the next 20 minutes talking about C.J. Stroud and not have a problem. This is exciting. I mean, could this be real? If you're the Texans, you already have it feels right? It feels right with DeMeco Ryans and the type of culture, atmosphere, defense that the Texans can be known for. That's what it feels like to me. And if you've got a guy like Stroud who can make plays and avoid mistakes, that's going to take you a long way. And, you can, in this league, you can close the gap real fast. I mean, I think we're seeing Texans already have 2 wins. And people were wondering if they could get 2 wins, right? So the last 2 games, 67 points in the last 2 games, averaging nearly 10 yards per pass attempt for C.J. Stroud. He's the guy we're all talking about and, listening to him, right? He's talking like a rookie a little bit, but it just feels like he knows what's being taught. He already gets it. And let me not get too excited because he's, just a rookie. But again, and I will hearken back to comments that I've made since the start of the season about my affinity for the rookie class for these quarterbacks. Now, is it going to go up there with the all-time? It might go up there because there's not a whole lot of them as far as there's only like 2 or 3 we're like, remember that year, remember this might be one of them. Or if you can get a couple of starters out of it, that's a good and I don't know. So far, so good. Ray Otachi's on the Falcons. And Nathan says, give me the Texans here in this one. Well, I'm talking up Stroud. I'm going to probably end up on the Falcons, but I just want to, certainly say that everything, I don't think it's a fluke. It looks pretty good to me so far with Stroud. I think everyone can agree. But so the Texans do have some issues in some of these games, certainly. And Atlanta coming back, don't forget, they're coming back over from England. Thomas is here on the Texans in this one. Texans, they've converted on 27 of 57 third down attempts. 31 of 64. 31 of 64 third down attempts. So decent, no doubt about it. Houston, 6-4-1 against the number last 11 as a road dog. But concerning their non-conference record is pretty bad. Nathan says, don't do it with the Falcons. I love Arthur Smith. So that's the problem. And I think he's been able to do some things. Look, I'm on this Texans bandwagon a little bit, no doubt about it. I just don't know if I am here. The move is totally to the Texans here, right? Although I did see one book go all the way to a pick'em at one point, and now it's back to Atlanta 1.5. But like I said, this did open 3.5. Atlanta scored 20. 24 points, 25 points in those two victories, and the two losses, just 6 points and 7 points. You get the choice. The league says, hey, when you're coming back from England, do you want your bye week after that week? They let the team choose. Atlanta chose not to. They chose again. They said, give us a game. I don't think they know which game they're getting. I mean, I don't think that's how it works. But they do ask the teams, if I'm not mistaken, do you want the bye week then? And they chose not to. So here's Nathan says Texans first half and first half under. Yeah, you mean the old Houston defense, right, Thomas? The J.J. Watt. Remember how good they were? Remember the great pass rushers they had, coming from both sides. They had good side. Remember, that's what helped them in that the good teams that they had. Now, Atlanta has gone under in 10 of their last 12 games of late right now. So you guys aren't going to like it, but I'm probably going to end up on Atlanta here. Remember, you love Stroud. I'm here to tell you, like Brad Powers, whenever you hear, because Brad Powers, pretty good, pretty noteworthy handicapper. Whenever he says that, I'm here to tell you, that's like the E.F. Hutton moment, I'm not going to say that my pick here, my free pick on the show is worthy of that, but I'm going to take Atlanta here. You still have a rookie quarterback on the road here. Yeah, Ritter might be almost considered the same, but he does have 8 starts under his belt. He is 4-4 here. Look, love Stroud. Love everything the Texans are doing. And, I'm sure, I think the move, right, you guys tell me if I'm wrong, but to me, I feel like the move is built in a little bit on the travel a little bit with the Falcons coming back. They were favored a little bit more. There is some momentum, obviously, for the Texans. No, still an NFL game for me, and I'm going to end up on the home team here. Free play here on the show. My play is on the Atlanta Falcons to win this game. I'll lay the 1.5, of course, here for show purposes. Now the Panthers are going to take on the Lions in this one. And, the Lions are up to a double-digit favorite. For every time we're getting a new record of the Lions haven't been favored in this role. They haven't been favored by this many. They haven't been never gone into this. So it's all, when you start hearing that, that's like, it's time. It's time. It's time for some kind of magic, some deep run, something they've never done before. Now, the Lions aren't going to win the Super Bowl this year, are they? I don't know. It's pretty fun right now, no doubt. Now, they were dominant in those wins, certainly, but remember they gave up 37 points also in a loss. Now, they played on Thursday last week, so they're getting a little bit of extra time here to prepare for this one. Campbell is, we love him because he makes money, right? I don't know how you evaluate your head coaches. Spread record is like the number one criteria for me, and no doubt. I mean, it's been part of the building process. That's why you cover spreads. You were terrible, and now you're decent. But Campbell's a man that has been responsible for it. Under Campbell, the Lions are 9-3 against the spread, coming off of a win. So they're probably in decent position here. It does feel a little bit worrisome to me as far as the number now here is concerned. I mean, can you really lay double digits with this team? Oh, that feels a little bit uncomfortable. For the Panthers, of course, they've 0-4. I mean, that's why this spread is what it is. That's why it is a runaway spread, I would think. The look-ahead line was Lions -5. That almost seems like it was too high to a certain extent, considering it was a look-ahead line, basically a couple of weeks before what we see now. But when you're 0-4. You haven't covered a spread yet. Yeah, okay, maybe one was a push. I don't know if anybody got a win out of that. I think it was a loss for most, right? You've only scored so far, 16 points a game, maybe, right? Is that what they're averaging? Now, the game that Dalton started was the game they scored the 27 points. And with Young, and again, I'm on these starters. I'm still supporting Young to a certain extent, but maybe he should be watching from the sidelines right now, like you should do with a rookie quarterback in most every case, especially if they start slowly. Now, if you got a guy like C.J. Stroud that gets it right away, you'll roll with it. That's why you see rookie quarterbacks often hit the bench, if they don't make it, and the second or third. And then you can come back later with your rookie quarterback. Just have him take a step back. The game goes a little bit faster. So, Bryce Young's 3 starts, the pass attempt, yards per pass attempt, one of the most important statistics to me out there. Basically averaging 3.5 yards per pass attempt. Remember, we just equated it to talking about C.J. Stroud the last 2 games, 10 yards per pass attempt, nearly 10 yards per pass attempt. Here's Bryce Young, barely over 3.5 yards per pass attempt. So one problem, I was talking up the Carolina receivers because I'm not as to the trained eye. I mean, I've got to rely on Pro Football Focus and the next gen stats and all that. I wasn't a great football player. Now, can I evaluate whether a team is going to win? I hope so. But to me, I saw the Panthers receivers. I'm like, wow, look at these guys. They got veterans with hands, right? They are slow as molasses. Slow receivers are the Panthers. Now, one thing, they're obviously conditioned very well. They're finishing games pretty strong. So that's why the double digits seem, bothers me a little bit. They've been outscored, though, big time in the second half. I don't have any numbers to prove it. I just trying to find a way to get on the Panthers a little bit here. They've actually been outscored 70-31. So what was I just trying to think of those second halves here necessarily to me. And again, maybe I'm thinking of that Dalton game because it was just such a contrast to the Bryce Young games. And Bryce Young, to me, he's had a few moments, especially early on, but he should probably have already hit the bench and then come back. There's nothing wrong with even if, it's Bryce Young. Yeah, the pressure's on because you drafted a quarterback. That's the way it's supposed to work nowadays, unfortunately. But think of a quarter, maybe we've missed out on some quarterbacks by just taking a step back. Now, I'm not going back to the Jordan Love thing just yet. With it, because he looked poor in the last game, but we'll talk about him later. All right, Thomas says he has to take the Lions at home. And Mike says it's hard to be laying double digits here with Detroit. No doubt about it. I mean, this is still a pro football game, right? But right now, Detroit's rolling through everybody. It seems like. Seems like a fun time to be a Lions fan. Thomas says he'll keep it high now that you got it at 10. You don't want to let them go through those numbers. Nathan says 34-17. That'd go over 51. All right. Well, I guess I'm going to have to make the call. Hey, Detroit, they've scored 10 touchdowns on 33 drives this season. And, Goff looks like what does he look like? The old Goff? Is he a new Goff? Is he good Goff one week and bad Goff the next? So there's a difference here certainly right now between these two teams. Now they do have a little bit of a series history in the conference a little bit. Carolina's done pretty well, winning 8 of the last 10 meetings between the two in the conference. They faced each other a little bit more than a regular inter-conference matchup. If I said that right, intra, you know what I mean, NFC versus NFC. You guys, you know what I mean. Carolina 17-25-2 against the spread, coming off of a loss. They're also 6-10 against the number last 16 as a road dog. And, they're just not as in sync. Not as in sync right now with Bryce Young in there as opposed to when Andy Dalton's in there. That's just the way it is. And there's no problem, to have Andy Dalton on the bench. Thank you, Nathan. Here comes his teaser. Let's take a look. Detroit minus 5.5 and over 45.5. On what is that, a 4.5 point teaser? What is this, a basketball game or something? Probably a good payout, right? I mean, that's got to be a little bit better than a teaser. And that's what you need nowadays, right? The way they charge them. I mean, the way they charge you on these teasers. And believe me, I've got, by the time Sunday rolls around, I mean, teaser is my favorite bet. Maybe I'm a degenerate. I mean, I don't sell any teasers on the site. We give out picks. But I've got, every conceivable combination of the sides and totals that I like. And then one thing it does do, and here's why I like to say that I'm a professional. I mean, I can't sit here all day and we'll get an exact play. But I mean, once you get a few teasers rolling, it does open up the windows, especially for those late NFL. We talk about how NFL, okay, yes, so I'm hitting 70% so far on the site in NFL. I say it is the easiest to handicap, but the toughest to beat, right? Because the game always ends up, I'll say always, I'm making a generalization, but more likely than not with NFL that the game is like ending right where the total, like right where it's supposed to be, side and total, right? It's just you need to be on the right side of those. But when you've already opened up several teasers and the game's coming down where you want to earn, and you don't know, a lot of times, we're trying to hope to be on the right side as gamblers, as sports bettors. But when you have something coming down to the wire and you know it's going to be coming down the last 2 possessions and you already have booked a win that you know is coming because this game is not going to end up on 2 scores, then all of a sudden you can lock in your profit and just get out of the bet. Not counting that as, talking about just straight betting, premium picks, and all that. All right, enough hemming and hawing here in this one with the Panthers and the Lions, and just unsure right now myself as far as the side is concerned, because the total is just the side has ended up going just a little bit too high here for me, is what it feels like at 10 points. I kind of agree with you guys talking about don't necessarily want to lay double digits here right now in this one. So I'll end up on the total here, and at 45, I could only go under here as my pick on the show. Yeah, Carolina team that right now with Bryce Young is going to be difficult. Please don't make any mistakes, Bryce, that end up in short fields and touchdowns, as that will spell doom. Hopefully, we're reeling them in here a little bit, and it's going to be slow prodding. If we had Dalton in here, man, we'd be going over this total so fast. We would be like lightning. Of course, the total probably wouldn't be 45 if Dalton was in. So, Mike says last time Detroit was a 9.5 point underdog and lost by 3. Well, yeah, now it's time. My how the times have changed. I'm on the under in this one, 45, with a rookie quarterback on the road. The Lions can dictate this game from the get-go. They don't even need to be explosive. They can methodically win this one, and hopefully that's what they'll do. I do feel like there's some volatility in that game because of the high spread that even puts the total in jeopardy, but I can only go under, especially if it's going higher. It's obviously going higher. I saw as low as 43.5, and now it's up to 45. If Bryce Young gets knocked down in the first series and Andy Dalton's in, all bets are off. We're going over. All right, can I put that caveat in there? I'll come in here and say I lost, but I'm going to say, yeah, but just remember when I said Dalton came into the game in the second series, and I was probably be, and you know, the thing is, if something like that were to happen, you don't want to. We're not rooting for an injury at all, and that's the only way Bryce Young will be coming out of the game. Unfortunately, I don't even think they could make a halftime change, but that'd be already be down. But you want Dalton in there in a game like this. I don't know what the Panthers are doing. Quite frankly, I know you're trying to build for the future. You will learn more on the bench watching Andy Dalton quarterback a professional football game. I'm sure Bryce Young is. Look, he's actually one of the biggest students of the game, right? He's probably watched lots of. It's a lot different though when you're standing there on the sideline. You're not, remember he's been in football games for a couple of years in college, not watching a lot of. They all watch NFL and all that. You're watching on TV. You could sit there and learn from Andy Dalton. All right. Titans and the Colts here. Titans on the road, laying 2.5, and the total is 43. No doubt the Colts seem to kind of open at least as a pick 'em, right, in this one. And I don't know. I mean, I get it. You got another rookie quarterback in there, but it's my guy. It's Anthony Richardson. He's back, right? We'll check the injury report. But I'm pretty sure we're expecting Richardson. Now, we're not putting him up there at this point with C.J. Stroud. And right now, I guess the story with Richardson is he's injury prone. That bothers me a little bit because so far, like what I see out of a rookie quarterback. Now, of course, the big news here, again, it kind of goes against what we're seeing with the line to me. But Jonathan Taylor, he's upgraded to questionable. That's great news. I know he's still got the questionable tag, but I don't know. I'm watching this guy's injury history. Questionable is almost a probable tag for him. Now, maybe he won't be in there this week. Maybe that's where the news is built in. Okay, I'm sure it's built in the fact that yes, the Colts in their 2 wins so far. Okay, they've been a little shit, but they've won on the road. That's they lost at home. They won on the road. Hey, that's one thing. You want to win your home games. I get that. But, they've had some offense, not only with Richardson, but with the stash as well. This total sitting currently at 43. It was as low as 42, but 3 of the 4 Colts games have gone over so far. And, this move to the Titans, I just doesn't feel quite right. I don't think anybody's too excited about the Titans at this point, are they? The Colts seem to have a decent building situation. you want to say, hey, you know what, Irsay's kind of goofy, finds a way to screw things up or whatever, but seems like he's hired a pretty good coach. The Titans are in a situation where they do cover a lot of games in this type of role, especially coming off of a win. They're 12-6 against the spread their last 18. In closely rated games under a field goal, 10-5-1 against the spread their last 16. Division games on the road, they're 9-3 against the spread last 12. And the Colts, they're not really in the best position. They don't cover games at home very well. 7-12 their last 19. But I don't want to lay points on the road at all with the Titans in this spot. And I hope Anthony Richardson doesn't get hurt. Talking about each rookie quarterback for what it is. And I think Bryce Young can still go, I'm fine with it. Right now, I'm fine with Anthony Richardson starting these games. I'm not in favor of him being behind, I think having Andy Dalton out there is a little bit different than having the stash out there. I'd take Richardson right now, plus he can run. He's proven it. Look at the rushing touchdowns. This guy's already kind of, setting the pace a little bit, ahead of pace for a rookie quarterback, how many times he scores rushing touchdowns. That's good. That's a good sign. That's a real good sign. So I like what the Colts are doing. And the Titans have had 2 games so far where they haven't even scored a touchdown. We know Tannehill. It's hit and miss, right? Right now it's a miss. It's not. Tannehill stock, his arrow is red and pointing down at this point. You still have his moment. You're not giving up on Tannehill. This is your guy. This is your guy, and you're the Titans. And if anything, right now you're going to be looking at a, kind of a situation where we're going to take you as far as the combination of players is going to get you when you're talking about the Titans. So the Colts have, the one problem they have is the rushing defense here, and Titans obviously can run the ball. So maybe that's part of the line move. I don't know. I just come on here. I watch a lot of talking heads. I think, maybe the Titans, because they're supposedly better than the Colts, right? And they probably are. But this is still NFL football. I want to take home dogs. Thomas Lewis says, what about Tennessee coach Mike Vrabel? What about? I think he's pretty good, Thomas. I definitely think that they definitely look. The Colts, they're learning, right? They're a coaching staff that's learning. I just think looks like they made the right choice. I think Colts are going in the right direction. They've scored at least 21 points in all 4 games so far. This is the Colts. Not a lot of expectations. They didn't have a lot of expectations. They've exceeded expectations, right, so far. Now, the Titans have been owning these guys of late. They've won and covered the last 4 meetings, remember, and these are division opponents. So for Tennessee, they've covered 5 of the last 6 trips in here. And but for me, I want to take these points at home. I'm taking it plus 2.5 here on the screen, but this is a pro football game, so I'm going to be buying it up to 3. I'm going to be buying up to 3.5 as much as I can afford. I'm buying a few extra points with a home team in an NFL game where I'm expecting it to be certainly decided by around a field goal. It feels like to me no more than a field goal victory for the Titans. That'd have to be the maximum result for me. I don't see the Titans here winning by more than, even a touchdown in this one. And I'm pro Anthony Richardson at this point. Hope he doesn't get hurt. Hope he is the one that remains in, and hope he stays cool. Hope he does the things that we saw him do. Remember, hello, Stephen. Nice to have you. And no, in fact, Mindy, she's got her own show now, and it comes on at 1 Eastern and 10 a.m. Pacific. Midday plays. She's joined by her sister. They preview a couple of games, give out a couple of picks, a couple of trends, and it's a great show. And it's at 1 Eastern, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. So I thought that they were taking her away, and I was sad. But then when I saw that she had her, I was so happy and excited again. So it's tough here without Mindy. Believe me, it was a life-changing year. But and I'm not supposed to get into it anymore. But thank you for your comments on that. All right, so the Colts for me as a home dog, that's where I'm going. They haven't looked good at home. They're supposed to be better at home. I think Colts can be a little bit excited about their potential. The Titans are often fueled by disappointment. Derrick Henry always needs more carries, but also Derrick Henry does need he needs what do they call it in the workload management, right? Derrick Henry really, we want to feed him, but we need to save him for those moments because he is a guy, right? We're always thinking about those times at the end of the season when the Titans, at this point, last couple, like they're at that finally at that moment where their season is on the line, they're running short of their goals and whatnot, and you just need a few more yards. And you think about Derrick Henry, and he's getting the ball, and you just wish some of those games he wasn't getting 35 carries or whatever. But he, as far as workload backs in the league, there's nothing, nobody better maybe than Derrick Henry. But just look at the way running backs are treated here a little bit, and what here's the thing: when other teams aren't spending on running backs, you should spend on running backs. Kind of like the old fantasy theory, right? And I don't know. If anything, maybe some of these GMs should try being in fantasy leagues and trying to manage running backs off the waiver wire and things like that. Because I don't want to ever call a football player a dime a dozen, but running backs are only as good as their parts, right? That's the most terrible thing about the position are the catastrophic injuries, because while it sucks to get one, once you do, and if you're a running back with someone who can look, there's a difference between a bruising basher that he could come back and still never probably going to get that power back, or the rehab you can, but the breakaway speed guys. Who's the guy? You guys that just this season has made a comeback, and he got injured again, right? The Ravens running back who's already been injured. Oh my God, you guys! And he was running, and he couldn't run. He'd already come back from surgery, and he was running down the field very slowly because he's like not even all the way back. You're like, God, this guy was really great. TJ Duckett. What's his name? You guys. I'm really good. I'm so, you guys know I'm really great with personnel. I think more brain cells have left my brain over the years. That's what it is. But you saw he's already out for the season. You guys know who it is. Anyways, here let's be on the Colts in this one and hope for more running backs. And stay with it, running backs. You can get your chance. I mean, they're not like going away. All right, you can't. There's always going to be someone to pay out there that's above the rest. But the short term, it's going to be hard. It's hard to get long term contracts for running backs, and the ones that are highly paid, are kind of being retro paid, like when they do a job for several years and they were always underpaid. So Dolphins, double-digit favorite here now, 11 points over the Giants. Oh, this is terrible with the Giants right now, isn't it? It just feels pretty bad here. I feel bad for them. And now they're on a short week after only scoring 3 points in that game. And How could I even think that the Giants were going to? I was on the Giants, you guys, on the show here, right? Was that what we were on? So yeah, we certainly thought about the under. We know that, but the Giants are just they come out so slow. They're getting dominated early on, and they're not able to produce much on offense here at this point. Just a comedy of errors out there. It seems like they're throwing the tablets around. Now it's funny because Dable so far, this is like his best role as a road underdog, 6-2 against the spread. Yeah, we know which one they lost, but that was the first time the only time they've been a road dog so far. Remember the Cardinal game a road favorite, but so 0-1 right now. But they're going like half the game they don't score. You can't have that. And they have last two games 1 touchdown, 8 3-and-outs. Saquon, look at. I don't want to say Saquon, but you see the short lifespan maybe of running backs. But a lot has to do with offensive line. I mean, what happened in that game was not on Daniel Jones necessarily. I mean, it looked bad. We're all making fun of him, but you saw the key injury. They have to shift over to get a new center right in the middle of the first half, basically. And while it worked for a player too, I was all fired up for him. Good for you, offensive line. Look at that. You had to you lost a second key player. JMS goes out, shift the guard over to center. Another guy comes in who hadn't played in a year, was a former starter, wasn't very good. He was getting exploited by the end of the game. He was the guy that kept picking on him. And, the pass rush was just too much. I mean, the Seahawks, they had, what did they have? 12 sacks, 9 sacks, 10 sacks? I don't know what they had. They just kept sacking him. And it was because the offensive line, it was I think it had the worst performance at the PFF of the season for an offensive line. They doesn't necessarily mean they fixed things, but at least you got a week to prepare. But just goes to show you how unprepared they were, and that's not good. They probably still are a little thin. Steven says, Dolphins cover and cover and cover. I love Coach Logic. Who doesn't? It just looks like he knows. It looks like he knows what he's doing, even if he didn't. Ray's on the Dolphins. Thomas is on the Dolphins. Now, the Miami's won and covered 3 of their first 4 here. They're averaging 37.5 points per game. We know the Giants are, a pretty solid under team. That's for sure. I'm sure, it has to do with how poor this offense has been. But feels like to me at 48.5, I know we're going to rely on the Dolphins to probably score a lot of points. But what are the Giants really going to do in this game right now? There just doesn't seem to be much hope. We sit there and make fun of who is the worst team right now, and we make fun of the Bears and the Broncos in that game last week. But can't necessarily think the Giants aren't with those two teams the way it's going right now. Dolphins have 20 touchdowns on 44 drives so far this season. They've gone over in 3 of 4 games here. Oh, it feels like yeah, Stephen, but maybe, maybe a subpar quarterback on a bad team, right, is what it feels like to me now. And that's a bad recipe, I think, to a certain extent. So for me, I kind of want to look to the total here in this one. I think feels like Dolphins. I feel like the Dolphins can actually get double digits here. Maybe that's what I should be laying here on the show. Let's see what you guys. It's all Dolphins for you guys. How can And right now, right? Jones is not. it feels like, I'm not saying you're going to be more comfortable at home, but Jones feels like he can scramble a little better for some reason when he's at home. Right now, the pressure is just too much. He's probably not even the type of quarterback that you need for if your offensive line is in such a disaster mode as this one. But there's no doubt, you guys. I mean, the Seattle Seahawks don't go around sacking the universe. And that's what they did against the Giants. And the Giants were already having some problems with pass protection and things like that. But once that injury happened, that's why you got that record setting or whatever it was. It was a massive number of sacks by the end of the game, right? They were 8, 9. What was it? I'm not the type of guy. I don't have all those stats right here in front of me on that one. So under is the play for Stephen. He says an absolute blowout. Let me tell you this, Stephen. If you think under is the play, and that is what you're saying about, and you're a great contributor to this. But if you're saying 37-10, under is the play, no, sir. If you're saying that the Dolphins are the play, you have the Dolphins winning there by 27 points in a game they're favored by 11 points, and you have the total there at 47 and a total that is on the board at 48 and a half. You're actually right on with the total. You have the Dolphins at an absolute blowout. Whereas the odds makers are trying to tell you that the final score of this game is going to be somewhere in the 31-21 range, 28-21, 28-20, 28-19. So, and great point there by Neil, the 70 points. And, so there is something to that as well. But I actually like where Steven is going with it because I feel like, but I'm going to lay, okay. I'm going to lay the points on the show. I'm going to lay 11 points on the show because I'm not sure I can be a premium. I don't know if I can lay 11 points right now as a premium. I could do anything I want. Especially with my NFL record right now. It's pretty darn good. NFL premiums, I don't think I'm number one on the site, but if I'm not, I'm number 2. Got another game or two here, but just want to show you could go over to the Handicapper Leaderboard 2.0. You check out who's hot. You click on NFL, and for the last, let's see. You can go the last 30 days. I think we're in there. There it is. I am number 1. Okay. 67%. That's all. NFL last 30 days. I think we're in 1 month into the season, right? Every team's got 4 games. And, I'm playing a pretty high volume. Probably 2/3 of every game has a premium on it. But this is the NFL. I'm going to have premiums in almost every game. This is the sport, and this is my sport. And 67% on my premiums. Little commercial here, plug, as I lay 11 points with Miami, and I don't want to do it as a premium because I'm 67%, and I don't want to lay 11 points. So, all right, you guys, I'm having a little fun here on a day without mini games. Let me lay 11 points here. I don't want to tip my hand on the total. That's probably going to be the premium. The Saints are going to come in and take on the Patriots. And what's going on with the Patriots? And why are they only a 1-point favorite against the Saints? Don't they know who the Patriots are? Don't they know about Mac? Now, why isn't Bailey Zappi? And first of all, is where I would start the discussion. You have the better quarterback. Maybe, I'm not there. I don't know. Maybe, I just know in the moments that we've seen Bailey Zappi play quarterback in a regulation NFL game, it's always been pretty decent, a little bit more explosive. Now, sometimes he's been in there in some mop up to some other situations. Maybe it's a little easier or whatever, but we all know right now that the Patriots are a 500 team since Tom left. Now, I'm not one of these who's saying, it's obviously 90% Brady and 10% Belichick. There's a lot of dynamics that go into all of it. Maybe one of the reasons why the Patriots are hanging on here right now and still, but they're 1-3. feels like they could still be a 500 club. Feels like that's what they'll be, battling for a playoff spot, is because of the coaching staff, the willing of good coaches to want to go there and coach, the willing of players to want to go there and play in a situation where, Kraft reportedly treats the players pretty well. They don't mind going to New England. Now, there's obviously a problem with the offense. There's no doubt about it. And if anything, right, the Patriots have always kind of skimped by. Tom never had, right? He always made the players kind of better around him a little bit, right? He always kind of brought those receivers up. Yeah, there were a few spectacular receivers, but what they really ever had? They've been running back by committee for, I don't know, the whole time. It feels like, to a certain extent, right? The way the kind of got players come in and out of there, the end of their career, they never see a guy come burst on the scene a little bit. And why are the Patriot quarterbacks always the ones that go on to have, even if modest success, they always go on to their next stop and be pretty good, whether or not they're a starter, a serviceable starter or a backup or whatever they've gone on. We've talked about them before, the guys that have left the Patriots. So why, with Bailey Zappi, he could probably go to another team and they'd be like, well, there goes another Patriot quarterback. It just feels like it's not working out at this point with Mac Jones a little bit. He stands too stationary. Maybe he doesn't have any, the speed isn't there. He can't run or whatnot. So, but here you do have the Patriots back at home. Now the Saints are, things have been pretty decent so far. You have two good defensive teams here. Look at this total. It's 40, and you probably know what you're going to get with this game, especially with the Patriots with that 1-3 start so far. I mean, look at some of these point totals so far. I mean, they're all, it's terrible. 3 points, 15 points, 17 points, 20 points. And they've lost both games at home. Now, come on, the New England Patriots, you think they're going to lose another game at home? I don't know. I don't know if they are. I wouldn't trust the Saints to go on here on the road. Okay, Derek Carr's back. Thank goodness. Anybody who wanted Jameis Winston in there? Look, I guess if you had a backup, you need a guy in there for a play or two. But you got Jameis Winston, okay. And Steven says, how about his Pats? Thomas might be on New England. Alvin Kamara. Here's Ray. He says, give me the under in this one. So I'm not going to trust Derek Carr on the road at this point. I can barely trust him at home. I don't trust Mac Jones, but I trust him more at home. Patriots aren't getting numbers at home, but again, they've been more favored than they are now. All we're asking them to do here is win this game. And that's what I'm going to expect them to do. I'm going to expect the Patriots to win this game in a matchup of strictly mediocre teams. The Saints haven't crossed the line for me yet. I'm a huge Olave fan. He is one of my top players and favorite players. Still kind of underrated, I think, even though I think everyone knows that I know what Thomas is saying about the dangers of a player like Alvin Kamara. But Olave is one of the true deep threats with great hands. He's not even a tall, big type receiver, but he just will out jump you and do all that. He's great. I don't expect the New England Patriots right now, this program, to lose another home game at this point. Against Derek Carr, it's going to find it difficult enough against a Patriot defense in, yes, a game that certainly, as said by Steven there, this total was as high as 42. That was no good. This total is definitely at 40 right now, and it's going to be it's going to be under that, I'm sure. I'm not tipping my hand too much here, I hope. And but it's also getting pretty low. It's getting close, but not much of a chance, I would think, of many scores in this game. So I'm on the Patriots here at home, of course, against the Saints, and I like what the Saints are doing. Problem is they're not running the ball very well at all. If Kamara can get off, they get do something with their running game, then they will win. If they can win, if the Saints rush for over 100 yards, I think they'll win. I don't know if they can do that here. So, and one thing, here's the thing, Mac, right? You don't trust Mac on a 2-minute drive. The Saints are there right now. They are struggling late in halves. They don't have a clutch defense at this point. That's where they're kind of giving it up. And offensively, no matter who Winston was a disaster. Should have saw that one coming right away. The later the change, that should have been a big red flag last week. They have 4 touchdowns so far. On offense. I gotta make that clear. And averaging just 15.5 points a game. Saints have gone under in all 4 games so far. I'm on the Patriots here to find a way to win this game. Could be some variance. Could come down the wire. Be careful. This is that's why it's a free play. But I got to take the Patriots. All right. Steven says under the first quarter. Question mark. If I'm going, I'm probably can. If I go, I'm never one to not. I saw the one parlay DraftKings released. They're like, oh, look at what these sports books. Remember, they release these parlays. Yeah, they're real winning parlays, but there have been lots of losers before and of course they're going to feature one they paid out for $25,000 or whatever. But correlated parlays or non-correlated parlays. For example, asking about if I like under first quarter. If I like under in the game, I'm going to like under in every quarter. But the guy who won the big DraftKings parlay, one of the things was he had like an under in the baseball game, but a certain player to hit a homer. So it kind of increased his odds a little bit. One more here, and then we'll wrap it up. Thank you for joining me today. And boy, this is a big spread for the Ravens and the Steelers. I'm going to go back. I wish I would have prepared. I say I don't prepare. I spend a couple hours readying myself for the show with all my notes and computers and lines and picks all set up. But now one thing I want to know, and I didn't check, was when was the last time maybe there was a 4-point spread? I mean, that's not a big spread, but it feels like every other game is like 1 or 2 points, doesn't it? 4-point spread for this game feels like a touchdown to a certain extent. But we know that the Steelers had some issues last week with Pickett in there, and now his status is really, I think, why we're seeing this point spread what it is right now. But the news so far on Pickett is he's been upgraded to questionable. So I think that's a good sign moving forward. But I'm sure that's why the spread has moved higher here from as low as 1. I think the general opener was 2, quickly to 2.5, and now to 4.5. I believe that look-ahead line was 1. But Ravens here on the road against the Steelers team where this is always a good series for the Steelers, but we know the Steelers are probably more broken right now. It feels like they're 2-2, so no problem there. And look, they won that game against the Browns. I think we all, they still can be competitive at home, but are the Ravens just finally a step up in class here in this series? Obviously, they are. I mean, the spread is moving in the Ravens' direction now up to -4 on the road. It almost feels like an automatic take because when you have Tomlin, you figure Pittsburgh 27 15-1 against the spread last 43 when the spread is 3 points or lower. But it's a different story when you get to 4 points for the Steelers. So in the games they've lost, they scored only 6 points and 7 points. Now Pickett, this is the most important factor of the game, and I imagine if he is ruled in, there will be some buyback. I don't think, no one's saying that Pickett's worth a point to the. Maybe he's not. Maybe this is going to be maybe a half a point. I don't know. You still have Lamar Jackson. He's still, basically won 70% of the games he takes the field. And remember, they've won and covered They've won and covered in all 3 of their wins. They've won and covered in all 3 of their wins, and the game they lost was that overtime game to the Colts. And we know the Colts have the improvement tag on them so far. Baltimore's allowed just 3 touchdowns so far this season on 49 drives. This is the best defense in the league. Is the most underrated defense. Never going to underrate the Baltimore defense necessarily, right? I mean, I think it's something we can always expect. We don't have the big names of the past, but this is going to be Ravens Steelers, right? It's going to be knockdown, drag out. They've gone under in 5 of the last 6. The total's 38. The Steelers' offense has been they've been outgained by over 100 yards per game so far, and 3 of the 4 have stayed under for the Steelers. Baltimore has gone under in 3 of 4. They've also gone under in 15 of their last 25 road games. Now, Baltimore's in a spot they're not the best in as a road favorite. They are just 6-10 against the spread as a road favorite, but 9-5 against the spread in the division on the road. Now, they're usually involved in more closely rated games than they're not always favored. Think of these opponents that they face on the road when you're talking about the Bengals and the Brown and that series right there. But this one, right? I mean, if you were just this is a total open as a 41 and as high as it got as high as 41.5 on the look ahead. But that's just Thomas says this season's almost over. Steven says you got to take the Steelers. I mean, you get Steelers in these points and even sprinkle the money line. These are the Steelers. Why wouldn't they be able to compete in this game? Yeah, Baltimore seems to be doing it all right now. I'm going to lay 4 points on the road. I don't know, maybe that's – I feel like it's almost out of character for me right now, but – I'm a little bit on Baltimore here moving forward. Look, we talked about MVP Jackson last season and, okay, wasn't a great season. Is he going to go to another team? What's wrong with Jackson? Is he any good anymore? Whatever. He looks pretty motivated to me. Mike's got the Steelers to win this one by 1. Of course. I mean, this is a Steelers and Ravens, man. This is why isn't this game on? I'd take this game tonight because how many times, right? Ravens, Steelers, Sunday night. It feels like the Sunday night game a lot of times. I bet I haven't seen when the other game is. I bet it is Sunday night football. Anybody have the schedule in front of anybody? We got the Baltimore crew in here at all? Ray says give me the Ravens tonight. I don't even know. I would just guess the next time they play is a Sunday night game. It might be Monday. I feel like it's a prime time. I sure wish it was tonight's game or something. Just take Jackson for a TB. Don't worry about the side. Take Jackson anytime touchdown. Yeah, okay, Neil. Well, unfortunately, the theme of this show is pick a side or total on every play. But I am going to start with more props coverage here because of the the fact that Tony'sPicks.com is featuring their prop selections. And while I'll unlikely have until the biggest games many prop selections, I probably will give some out here on the show moving forward. And for me in this one, though, the Ravens are my pick. And I do like the total very, very much. Can I say that? And I probably like the side even a little bit more, but laying 4 points now, even for me, it feels a little bit uncomfortable. I just think the Ravens are all that, and the Steelers have not that the Steelers couldn't improve. I say that now they're 2-2. They'll probably still be very Steeler-like and battle all the way to the playoff finish very, very close to a 500 or better record. I just have a feeling that Baltimore could be in store for, and they're a team that can be susceptible certainly to ruts, but and they've had a touch or two of injuries already. But for me, I'm taking the Ravens here, actually to smash in this one. And when I say smash, I mean this is an NFL game. I just mean though, if they're favored by 4 and I've got them to smash, then they're going to win by at least 6 or 7 around a touchdown and win convincingly. Maybe Pittsburgh, if they're threatening the back door, Baltimore have to stop them, but maybe Pittsburgh can only get within a touchdown by the end. We'll see. But Ravens right now, they're playing really good for me, and that's where I like them. So, all right.